Hello everyone, this is OmnusI here once more in my lair, and I'm answering the penultimate question for 2018 from the RPG Day Challenge posed by the RPG Brigade of Facebook. That is the 30th day, 30th question, which is, again, going to be more introspective. It is share something you learned about playing your character. Now, of course, if you followed my videos, you know that I run more games than I play, by a vast degree. Doesn't mean I don't have a stack of player character sheets that I've played from various times, both one-shots and involved in rich and complexly developing campaigns. But quite honestly, again, for as little as I play, I have a lot of character sheets. And that has to do partially with when I was younger. I played in multiple games and played as much as I could and really threw myself into it, something I don't have the luxury of doing today. Just never enough time, unfortunately. But, more to the point, the stack of character sheets is a bit bigger because of a style of play that I did back in the day, back when I was in college. There was an excellent article in Dragon magazine back, I can't recall the episode exactly, but it was, "Which alignment are you?" And of course, if you are familiar with Dungeons and Dragons, they had the alignment morality chart where your character's personality could be lawful, meaning you upheld the law and had value to it, chaotic, meaning screw the rules and the law, I just want to do what I want to do, and neutral, where you tried to strike a balance between that somehow. Most people generally tend towards neutrality. The morality side of it was good. You hold value in life and freedom, and you fight for that. Evil, where life has no meaning and your desires are what's most important. And neutrality, which strikes a balance. Most people generally, I find, tend towards the good aspect of that, although not purely good. There's generally shades of gray all throughout. And it was a guide to playing your character. Something that several games have mimicked, but it just seems to be fading a bit these days. The importance of any kind of an alignment in a game system. And the D&D article had real life alignments, not lawful, neutral, good, evil. It was things like was it like chaotic, stupid. You just did things because lol random. You just loved the chaos, and you would do foolish things because you could, and at the spur of the moment it appealed to you. You had lawful boring, a person who always plays one way, which is the group, and always, you always stick together and you follow a set of rules, and everybody must follow the set of rules, which can lead to stagnation to a bit. The alignment I could describe myself through this rather painful stretch of play back in college was chaotic suicidal. And that was, I would play a character, and then another concept would appeal to me, so I would do actions that would lead to the death of my character, and then roll up a new character for what appealed to me. And if that didn't work out, rinse and repeat. And I repeated a lot. I would go from playing a buff fighter who did pretty well to then switching to a gnome illusionist thief, because I thought that would be kind of fun. This was back in the second edition D&D days when characters still weren't as complex and detailed as far as background and ideals and bonds and things like that, like they are in many games today. But they weren't exactly, easily replaceable either. And as I was going through that phase and racking up the characters, and sometimes doing startlingly stupid things, because I wanted my character to die, it was terrible role-playing. It is. It's, as a policy, it's not good, because your characters should generally have a sense of self-preservation. That being said, my magpie-like distraction of attention, and I was taking the game for granted in a lot of cases. Always sure that I was going to have a role in the group, and This was before I was regularly a game master for that group, so the others, my friends who played with me, really put up with a lot from me. I think it's fair to say. Eventually, I was taken aside and told, it's obvious what you're doing. You're killing off your character so that you can get a new one. Stop it. In no uncertain terms, they were tired of my crap. They didn't want to see me do this. They wanted me to have a character that was a part of the group that they could rely upon and they could build a story around rather than just an itinerant person who would keep jumping in. The thing that really drove it home to me was when I had a character that I actually liked. It was a character I rolled very well for, and he was kind of a bragging, brawling fighter type. Um, if you're familiar with the Greyhawk world, he was a Rani, the river people, kind of a parallel to gypsies in a way. Um, he was a Rani princeling. I rolled really well. I mean, he had high social status, really great strength, and he got killed in a bar fight, pointlessly. It wasn't, I didn't even draw a weapon, but the other guy drew a weapon and outright killed my character. I was outraged. I was incensed. I had a character that I liked, that I was having fun playing. He was dynamic. He could, you know, he was a very solid fighter. But I went up against a stubborn dwarf who was 10 levels higher than me, and he just ruined my character in a round or two. I couldn't even get away. It eventually, after the sting went away, I realized that the game was treating my characters like I had treated my characters, without any import, without any significance, and if they died, it didn't matter to anybody. So, I'm not saying that I never had characters die after that. I generally think, though, when we were playing a campaign, I put a bit more significance into the lives of my characters. Now, as a game master myself for decades, I appreciate the importance of having a character who you attach significance to. If I felt that my players didn't have significance to their characters, that kind of hurts me because that's part of the game. That's their tie-in to my game. And if they don't value that, well, the game is devalued to a certain extent. Also, as a more narrative game master than we were back in the day, and the game master back then was actually quite narrative. So again, I can doubly appreciate the impact. And Mike, if you watch this, I am sorry for what I did and for all of my friends, what I put you through back in the day. It was bad play of me, and to this day I'm still somewhat embarrassed by it. So this is a bit of my bearing of my soul. But yeah, I started out as a fairly bad player, and as another result of that, I very rarely play characters that are front and center in a party. I generally play support characters on the periphery. Maybe part of it is penance. Maybe the other part is I don't like taking the same chances that I used to take either. And I like to preserve a character that, through telling the story, is going to have a greater impact rather than being dynamic on the battlefield. But yeah, that's something I certainly learned. And like I said, now if you're in my game and it's a campaign rather than a one-off, I'm going to be tying hooks to your character. I'm going to be sending out little bits and pieces that you can grab onto and reveal part of the story. Draw the curtains away and reveal what's lying behind, if you're interested. If you're not, many of them just go by the wayside, and that's fine. I've got lots of hooks and snares for different storylines. But if I start seeing players that take needless risks and, basically just flaunt their characters' lives, and I will not extend the courtesy of the world bending over to save them. I'm not going to kill them, no. The dice falling where they may is often deadly enough. If you're going to take foolish chances, the dice will oblige you. That is, if I'm on my game and providing a challenge worthy of the players and their characters. That's always been a delicate balance, of course. But as I have learned to try everything I can to make the players value their characters by having storylines woven around them. Maybe it may be something as simple as, a dream here or there, or a whispered word in a tavern. But they're there, and they bind your character into my story and my narrative, and give you extra options for what you can do. So, that's my answer for this question. As we draw things to a close here in August, I'd like to thank all of you again for joining me on this adventure, especially all of the new subscribers. I dearly value those who've been with me for better part of these 2 years, but thank you for everyone who's come on board. You're keeping this all fresh, and I appreciate that. And again, I encourage you all to keep commenting, like, subscribe, of course, if you haven't done that. But I certainly have no intentions of stopping once August is over. So the Lair of OmnusI will be busy, I assure you of that. And I thank you for joining me here in the Lair of OmnusI. I bid you farewell.